Yeah, your microphone's doing it.
Do the intro.
Oh, hey everybody. Welcome to TV is Our Real Mom. David's microphone was doing the robot thing, but I think it's back now. Dave?
Yeah? Am I back?
I can hear you. Yep.
Okay.
You're back.
But
That was a weak intro. You want to do it?
It's been cutting out a lot. Yeah. Hello, friends. Welcome to another edition of the TV is Our Real Mom podcast. I'm Dave.
I'm Catie.
And we're here to discuss episode 8 of season 40 of Survivior, Winners at War. And I thought this was a pretty freaking amazing episode, honest.
Probably. Yeah, I'm sad. This is what we look forward to all week now. I mean, not that we didn't anyway, but this is the most excitement I get all week. So it's so sad when it's over, especially when it's the merge episode. And it's a good merge episode, unlike the last time we had a merge, which we will not speak of. So this was awesome.
Yeah, just so much awesome stuff. And the only complaint I could really have with it is kind of like complaining about a good thing. Is it was just like moving so fast. There's just so much content jammed into one tiny little space, like just going a million miles an hour. So kind of hard to follow, kind of hard to remember everything that happened. I took some notes, but I mean, there's just so much there. I would love to someday soon, hopefully, go back and rewatch, especially the scramble. The scramble was cut so fast, so there's a lot to unpack.
They made it sound like the scramble was kind of non-existent, like people weren't really talking to each other. But we saw a lot of it. But we saw Jeremy. I'm still so confused how Wendell ended up with, was it 9 votes or 8? What was the final vote count?
Well, I never saw a third person's name written down. I could be wrong about that. But yeah, it looked like they read Adam's 3 votes just to make it suspenseful, but then the rest were Wendell. So you could pretty much assume at this point that Wendell got 9 votes. So then you just kind of got to figure out who definitely didn't vote for Wendell, right? Who went along with Adam? It was probably Jeremy, Ben, and someone else or something.
It had to be Jeremy, Nick, and Wendell were the only votes for Adam.
Oh, crap. Right? Yeah, because Wendell wouldn't vote for himself, so he's one. Duh.
But Michelle was like, I didn't know. Well, if you voted for Adam, you clearly knew. So I'm not sure. Maybe Ben...
I'm actually not 100%. It was actually Jeremy that voted.
Maybe it was Michelle, Nick, and Wendell, and that was it.
Yeah, I honestly think it's quite possible that Jeremy
went back,
saw the way things were going. It wasn't working, so it came out that it was going to be Wendell. Because they did show the scene in him in the jungle with, was it Ben and Tony? I think it was those 3 kind of see themselves as like big, strong presences. And Ben, I know you hate Ben, but...
it did not go away tonight. I can tell you that much.
But if you were going to compare him to the other guys in some way, it's that he's like a big presence in the room. He's like a big guy, big physical presence,
Yeah, but
loud.
What was gross about that is that, we're the Lions, and they had no women included in that at all.
Right, but that's just like what you would expect from macho guys, right? I mean, why is this a surprise to you?
Sure, and we know who came off looking the best tonight was Queen Sophie, so...
Right, I mean, Queen Sophie dominated tonight. Tell me a story. Tell me a Sophie story.
Well, just the way that because the story they were telling us was that Jeremy was trying to get the vote to go Nick's way so that he could have Wendell under his thumb. And it seemed to be working when he was working with Tony and Ben, because Ben seemed to be like, yeah, Jeremy, I'll do whatever you want. Yeah, I'll go this way. We can switch it to Nick or Adam. That's fine. But Sophie saw exactly what Jeremy was doing, and she was not about to let it happen. But she didn't want to get rid of Jeremy. She wanted to get rid of Wendell, and she did.
Right. Yeah. I think that was the definitely the moment in this episode where you stand up and cheer for Sophie, just because a lot of it has to do with the edit. What the edit is showing us, they're trying to tell us a story of Jeremy being the man behind the curtain, pulling all the strings. They showed us he went and had an individual talk with just about everybody on the island. And that's the story they were trying to tell us. But then through Sophie's perspective, we see her as the one who sees through it all. She has the confessional where she tells us exactly what's happening, and she's spot on with everything that's happening. And like I said, that's the moment you stand up and cheer and declare Queen Sophie.
Right. And the moment where Adam was freaking out and Sophie was like, because at this point I was still thinking it was Nick or Adam. But when I saw Sophie talking to Adam and being like, just trust, it's fine, everything will be fine, I was like, oh, I believe Sophie. It's going to be Wendell. And it was.
Yes. Sophie did have a rough moment in this episode, though. She was convulsing violently.
Yeah. That looked terrible.
With like bloodshot eyes.
Yeah, she looked horrible. Like, it doesn't matter how long you played Survivor and how good you are at the game. Like, physical elements can completely break you down, especially when you're just a tiny little woman. I mean...
Yeah,
it's just real life.
Yeah, it was a reminder that the survival part of the game is a real thing still. And it kind of came out of nowhere because, all season it was even talked about in podcasts and such that how nice the weather has been this season. And just out of nowhere today, all of a sudden they're all freezing their asses off and really struggling out there.
Yeah, it looked terrible, but you can't have a whole season without rain. I mean, I'm sure they've had them, but...
Yeah, I really liked how Adam responded to it.
I can talk a little bit about Adam. Yeah, he seems physically like he might even be smaller than Sophie, and yet he was the one being like, oh, what, have you never played Survivor before? So I thought that was a little much coming from Adam. But, you feel how you feel. I guess Adam is... used to rain. Maybe he was a Boy Scout. Oh, you're snapping. I heard your snaps.
That's working. Okay. That's how we're going to have to do this, I guess. But I just like how Adam responded to, I liked that scene where he's like, I can handle this. I lived through a monsoon. You guys don't even know. Yeah. So he was fine with it.
Yep. What I like about this season is I thought about the Cyclone in their season before he said that. And like last week with the Wendell's history with Probst not coming over to see his puzzle, like you have these little callbacks that you remember, which is fun.
And some people remember.
Well.
It was pretty obvious that that's what Wendell was doing, but that was right over my head. I had forgotten all about that already. So.
Yeah. Well, they had to evacuate him for like the first time ever. So.
Oh, sorry.
It was a pretty big deal.
Yeah. I forgot about that too. I guess I forgot about Wendell and the challenge thing.
Oh, yeah. That part. Yeah.
Let's talk about the whole edge of extinction stuff and Tyson coming back.
That was hard to watch.
Yeah, that's rough. We had. Talk to me about the response to Sandra raising her sail. Was there one? I don't know.
I didn't really gather that there was a huge response, but
I guess the best part was after the challenge when Tony said, "Now I know why Sandra went home. She didn't have a chance at that challenge. There's no way."
She didn't. No, yeah. It was exactly the people we thought it was going to be.
And the entire bench laughed at that too. I mean, it's just awesome. It's awesome how Tony has everyone wrapped around his finger, like from a comedic relief standpoint.
Yeah, I feel like Tony's in a really good spot. His name did not come up. I'm just shocked. Like the 5 people, there were 4. There are now 5 people that I'm rooting for. Tyson, Tony, Denise, Jeremy, Kim. Not one of them. Denise might have been mentioned.
Yeah, no, Denise very well could have been toast if she wouldn't have won.
Right.
Yeah.
But those 5 people, those 4 with the exception of Denise, were not mentioned as possibilities of going home. I guess Jeremy was also safe. Those 3 people.
That's a really good point. Yeah, definitely Tyson, Kim, Tony, Jeremy are the kind of big names that come to mind. Just like dominant winners, dominant Survivor players, huge presences that are somehow still flying under the radar. Like the biggest surprise. Excuse me. The biggest surprise of all is probably Tony flying under the radar.
I bet you that Kim is in their Lions Club, or maybe Tony's keeping that on the DL, but I don't know. It just seems like it'd be weird to not include her in that huge target group because she was when they were on their little 4-person tribe. So why would she suddenly not be included?
Yeah, I agree. It's probably just not something they're featuring in the edit, but that's probably happening for sure.
I'm just so frustrated. And I know you all know what I'm going to say. That Ben is still such a huge part of everything. And it's not so much.
I mean, why doesn't he deserve to be out there? I don't understand all this hate.
Your microphone is doing it again. Sorry. Okay, I can try to explain why I don't like Ben, and perhaps it just comes from not liking him from his first season. But I will just give an example tonight of how he put himself as a threat level on the same level as Tony and Jeremy and Tyson. I do not believe that Ben belongs on the same level as Tony and Jeremy and Tyson. And yes, it means he's playing a good game because he's in the mix, he's jumping around, he's in all the conversations. But for someone who doesn't like Ben, it's annoying that he's in all the conversations. So that part's just annoying, but the part that made me upset was putting himself in the same breath as those 3 winners.
Okay.
What do you think?
If you're talking about a player as a threat, he doesn't have to play the same kind of game as everyone else to be a threat. If I knew there was someone on the island who was able to win their way to the end by finding idols, I would find that very threatening. So I wouldn't,
because it means they can't win without finding idols.
But he can find them. He can basically throw a wrench into all your plans with magic voodoo. So that's threatening.
Which is you're just making me hate him even more. That's the main reason.
I never expect to change your mind on Ben. I just I just don't understand it's so over the top your vitriol for Ben. It's a lot.
Not over the top. He does it to himself every week. This week, if he would have just kind of laid low like some people are doing, instead he's in there in all the conversations and saying he's just as much of a threat as Tony and Jeremy and the Adam thing, the way he was so short with Adam and he wouldn't even listen to him. I'm over the way he treats Adam as well. I'm just over their dynamic together. To me, he doesn't bring anything interesting to the table.
Okay. Yeah, I agree with that for the most part. I guess I'm curious, how would you have Ben play? What would you have
Silently.
him do? Silently. Yeah.
So I don't have to listen to him be in every conversation. They were saying that about Nick, but Ben does the same thing.
Yeah. I loved Adam's impression of Ben again,
Yes.
the whole scene with him, he just looked like a freaking 6-year-old toddler. He was stomping his feet. He's like, "God, I want to play."
Yeah, that's how Ben makes me feel too, like a annoyed 6-year-old toddler. Maybe doesn't make sense to anybody, but
God, I hate him so much. No, trust me, I know out of our 5 listeners, they probably all agree. Okay.
Yep. And I'll try to stop. I know that you're probably getting tired of me bitching about Ben, but I didn't think he'd still be here at this point. So I'm just going to have to accept it, I guess. Ben's probably in it for the long haul. It seems he and Jeremy and Tony must have decided together that they weren't going to vote Adam out, that they were going to go with the whole let's vote Wendell out thing, because something must have happened where they were convinced. But I don't know if those 3 have a long-term. Do you think those 3 will go far together? Jeremy?
Joni? Is that what we call him?
Joe.
Joni and Ben?
Yes. Yeah,
yeah, why not? The only one I'm skeptical about is Tony, because he's such a massive threat. He's never going to be forgotten about, in my opinion. But 100% see Ben and Jeremy going far together.
Wasn't the answer I wanted, so thank you for that.
Well, they're just it's so obvious they're like a duo. They
Ben and
tell.
Jeremy and Tony were the ones that were together on a tribe before this.
Yeah,
Why are
but that's on like the swap tribe, right? They were the ones who were like sitting right next to each other in tribal council, like giving each other the eye, like in the early game. They know each other from the poker thing. That's a real thing. I think they're friends outside the game. I think they have a pregame alliance. We get a lot of stuff in this episode of them hashing things out together. I think they're a tight duo personally. I could be wrong.
gross? That makes Jeremy look worse, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's fine. There's so many great players out there. There's so many cool dynamics. There's lots of people I like to win the game. So I think it's fun that today the two people that won the immunity challenge, the man and the woman, were the man and the woman I picked as my winner picks. But alas, Denise is probably toast. Like, talk to me about her speech. Like the speech she gave. Or maybe I should talk until my mic goes out and then you can talk.
Sure.
No, you go ahead.
I mean, maybe it was a bold move, but Denise needs to put it out there, like let it be known that she deserves to be there and is on the same level as everybody else. I thought it was a bold move. It might not work out for her, I suppose. You might be right, but so they're gonna say one move Denise. It has to be taken out before Jeremy or Kim or Tony or Ben because he's such a big threat, or Tyson. Wendell was the main one that wanted her out, and Wendell's gone now. So
yeah, I think it's just that thing where everyone out there is looking for something to pin it on someone else other than themselves. And Denise just gave them an easy reason right there. And I think it was Sophie that said, like, oh, so you're the only one out here who has a resume so far. Good to know. Like, it doesn't bode well for her, unfortunately.
I don't think she's the only one with a resume, but she's got one of the biggest resumes in this current game.
She's got the big resume in the game. Yeah, she's got the move, the big move she can point to. I think that is an overrated way of the jury giving away the big prize, but by saying, oh, you made one big move, thus you are the winner of the season.
But I also think Denise is so calm in every other aspect. Like you saw when she was talking to Jeremy about, I'll get rid of Adam if you need me to. She's so like even keeled. Like I think people might forget that did that.
She's smooth.
Yeah,
smooth.
There's no ripples.
No ripples. Yeah.
So I don't know. I think she might be able to make people forget.
Yeah, and what's interesting about that speech she gave is that anyone else, if they make that speech, you'd say, oh, that was like a dumb move on their part. But for her, that was a calculated decision she made to tell everyone that. She's like, maybe. I'm guessing her thought process was something like, maybe it's best that I come right out and tell them exactly what happened out of my mouth so nobody thinks I'm trying to hide it or anything, rather than, because the people who saw that are going to they're going to talk to each other.
Yeah. But I mean, people are going to find out because Jeremy and Tony and Kim were there when it happened, so it's not like she's going to be able to keep it a secret.
Right. Yeah. So it could have been the best thing she could have possibly done.
Yeah. So I'm not sure. You might be right. She might be gone soon, but again, she's pretty good at that whole individual immunity thing, so she could stick around for a little while. I don't know. I don't think it's a death sentence as much as perhaps you think it is, but there must have been a reason they showed it. Maybe it was just to pay homage to the queen, because this is probably the last time, last episode she will be talked about, since she's not on the jury and she's not at the edge of extinction anymore. So maybe it was just to honor Sandra. I don't know.
Sure. GB Oira says, hearing Dave's microphone all acting up was music to my ears as I was doing the dishes. And sorry about that. There's like nothing I
It's
can
been
do about
touchy
this.
lately.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I'm in full quarantine. I've been indoors for many days, and I'm not going out and buying a microphone. I'm not ordering a microphone. I'm not doing anything of the sort. So we're just gonna have to make do with what we got. So sorry about that. My best advice is turn your headphones down a little bit so
If you
they're
have
not.
headphones, yeah.
Yeah, so they're not as loud. I'm assuming that's what you're saying is you had your headphones blasting in your ears while you were washing dishes, and they blasted your
Sorry.
ears out. So sorry about that. Turn them down a little bit. Thanks for listening anyways, though, and feel free to throw us a question. GB, #1 fan of the podcast.
You know what was music to my ears tonight was seeing the three names being tossed around. Finally, I guess there really aren't that many other options, but like the newest players, like Wendell, Nick, or Adam has to go. I was like, thank you. Why did it take this long for you guys to be the targets?
Yeah, I'm really nice segue, by the way. Music to your ears. That was excellent. Yeah, it is really nice to hear them finally start talking about that because Tyson was right all along. If they would have just all gotten together and seen the writing on the wall, yeah, GB says headphones for sure.
Oh, shoot.
So yeah, Tyson was right all along. If they would have just listened to him, damn it.
Yeah.
Because
And
I would
now
have
he's
really,
back.
to be honest, I would have really enjoyed to see the old school people dominate the game. Because it's just, I don't know, either way, whether it's new school dominating or old school dominating, it can be poetic, however you look at it. And a mix would have probably been the best outcome, but we don't really have that.
Yeah, and I know this has been pointed out over the last week with the whole old school, new school thing being talked about a lot, but it was a numbers game. Like there were 12 new school people and 8 old school people. And I hated how that everybody was like, oh, it wasn't intentional. Bullshit, you assholes. How do you get all old school people over there and none over on this side of the line if it wasn't intentional? That is such a lie. Right?
Yeah, agree.
They were lying.
Sorry, I was just thinking that I think GB was saying, yes, I am #1 fan of the podcast. So,
oh, well, whatever.
Agreed.
Both.
Thank you, GB.
Headphones and #1.
Okay. So, anything to say about the challenge, Edge of Extinction challenge?
It just made me sad to see those legends doing the same thing. Like, who cares if Chris Underwood or Rick Devens or freaking someone else gets back in the game, But seeing all these people, it kind of hurt my soul a little bit. And if he had had an advantage, he might have gotten it because he was right there.
Yeah. They really kind of put an emphasis on how tough the Edge of Extinction was. You could really tell the players hated the Edge of Extinction a lot. And Tyson gave an emotional speech. He was definitely pretty beat up by the whole thing. And I thought Rob's speech was amazing. What'd you think of that?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember what he said. Oh, well, he brought the old school, new school thing up, and I was like, yeah, suck it.
Yeah.
Hate you.
But his flair for the dramatic is so amazing. Like there's this like spirit that takes him over. He's born to be on camera in a reality show, man. It's freaking amazing. Yeah, it's amazing to watch. He does it
really well. Yeah. I was a little bit sad for him that he was so close to getting back in. But I mean, if I have to choose Tyson or Rob, I'm going to choose Tyson every day of the week.
That's a tough choice to make, honestly. I like both those guys.
Yeah. So I was kind of like, I kept seeing someone who was behind. I was like, oh, Ethan, go Ethan. And I was like, oh, he probably doesn't have a shot. And then Yule was really close. And I was like, oh, Yule, please. You can do it, Yule. And then poor Parvati was kind of further behind everybody. And it was just sad to me. And I had a hard time watching, but it got really exciting at the end, of course. And once you know it's between a certain group of people, Tyson or Rob, which you kind of figure going in, it would probably be Tyson or Rob or Natalie. Then it was exciting, and I was rooting for Tyson, and he won. So it's so odd to see him you see Tyson and all the new schoolers, and it's just kind of like one of these things is not like the others. It's kind of funny. Uh-oh. It's already doing it again.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah, he didn't even get to talk that time. So, yeah, Tyson kind of he seemed like I was worried that there was going to be a revolving door situation, but he seems totally fine. And like they said at tribal council, things are completely different now than when he was voted out. I thought it was interesting that he didn't get an advantage, an idol or anything, upon re-entry into the game. Like Underwood and Devons both had an idol given to them. I suppose he could have bought one rather than the peanut butter, but he didn't know he was going to make it back in. He just had to focus on getting in. So he doesn't have anything, but I guess he didn't need it, at least for this first round. So that's impressive.
True. I liked how on the bench when they're about to do the ball thing, they're like, "Is he good at this?" Is Boston Rob good at this? Oh. And then he's good at everything.
Yeah. They're not wrong. I mean, everyone said Boston Rob was going to be. A lot of people thought he was going to win and get back in the game, but he almost did. And portly chap or not, he crushed that thing.
Yeah, and I like when they cut to his wife and she was really struggling, and her stick they really focused on the stick, just the pathetic stick just breaking.
Oh, yeah. Well, she wasn't really trying for herself. She wanted Rob. If it would have been between her and Rob, she would have let him win anyway, so.
Yeah, that's true. What did you think of Sarah Lucina comparing the alliances and the relationships to a big bowl of spaghetti? Can you explain that analogy to everyone?
I guess you have the noodles, you have the sauce, and you have the meatballs, but then you mix it all up, and then you can't tell what's what? Is that what she meant?
Yeah, I don't know. Actually, if I remember right, she was talking about spaghetti noodles and how they connected, they intertwine all over the place. The ends are all tangled together, like a tangled ball of yarn or something.
So rather than the hard sticks, it's just a bunch of mushy noodles. Okay, that makes a little bit more sense. It's not a metaphor I would have chosen, but I'm not Sarah Lucina, so.
True. Yeah, can you talk a little bit more about Tyson? I
love him.
Yeah, I mean, you probably already said a lot about Tyson.
I'm just happy he's back. He was one of my top picks. It would have been Tyson, Yule, or Ethan would have been my top picks. I wouldn't have minded seeing Natalie get back in just because she would have probably gone over to Jeremy. But yeah, I just what I feel like is missing from this season is that really thorough understanding of what the hell just happened. Was Michelle not in with Jeremy? Did Jeremy break from Michelle? Because I thought Jeremy was in with Wendell. I thought he was with Michelle. I don't know. There's just I suppose they'll address it next week. Because Nick is so upset about what happened. But I don't know. It doesn't make sense once again. And I feel like that's happened a lot this season where we're told a story, but there's so much more that we don't really understand the real driving factor behind the actual vote out.
Yeah, I think this will be a fun off season.
Yeah.
For podcasts and stuff. Because we'll get to hear so much about what was actually going on behind the scenes,
Yes.
So that's kind of cool.
Yeah, I'll listen to deep dives from everybody.
Yeah.
Truly.
Yeah, Tyson had another good line in this one. He talked about, he's like, I played 3 times before you guys got your Survivor diapers on.
Yeah, he's not wrong. It's Sophie, Kim, and Denise were 23, 24, 25. And then Tony was after Tyson. So yeah, those are the only 3 that won their first season, before he won his 3rd season.
Right, yep. And his line about kind of a winner's edit, or he's going to be a player in the game, about how if you give him some space, he's going to grow some roots in those cracks.
Yeah.
So that's badass.
That was a good one. That was badass. Good for him.
Yeah, talk some more about Jeremy's strategy of basically wanting Nick gone so he can be Wendell's number 1.
Yeah. Boy, they didn't get a chance to play together. Like they got 3 days to play together, Jeremy and Wendell. That kind of sucks. Um, yeah, I mean, it was a little on the nose, I thought. Like he could have waited, maybe. I don't know. Because Wendell wasn't even that committal when when he was like, "Who's your number one? Is it Nick?" And Wendell was like, "You could say that. You could say that." But Wendell was also leaving the door open for Jeremy to be that person. Like he didn't officially say like, "Yeah, that's my ride or die. I'm never gonna go against him." He didn't say that.
Yeah, that's what is my mic okay?
Yeah, it's okay.
I'm starting to just anticipate it now. It's terrible. But that's what I was starting to dislike about Wendell's game is just his like non-committal attitude. He's so wishy-washy. And it was getting to the point, and it was very apparent in the tribal council in this episode when Jeff would ask him a question. And I've been noticing that in past episodes too, but it just came to a head in this when he got asked a question, how like he's really bad at the non-answer. Like it just sounds like a non-answer. And that's his whole gameplay strategy of like not giving away too much or whatever. There does come a point where that can not be a good look either. And I think that's the territory Wendell was in here.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of makes sense now why he got such a negative edit the last few weeks, because they were kind of setting up his downfall, even though it didn't seem like what happened the last couple of weeks had much to do with why he inevitably went home. They painted it as his connection to Jeremy, which was completely fresh and new. But I'm sure there was more that went into it. I don't know. That's what I mean. It was confusing. I mean, I kind of knew it was going to happen, but it was still confusing.
Like I said, it will be, or it would be, I'm not sure, fun to go back and watch the scramble again, because there's just so much happening so fast, so much to dissect, and that'll make for good podcasts to listen to and stuff this week.
Yeah, good off-season or off-week fodder, because
there's a lot to talk about, and there's
a
lot
merge
to
episodes,
dissect.
But you know what? Oh, it's so nice to have a merge episode like this one.
Yeah.
And not like other ones.
Most definitely. GB says, seeing that Yul, Danny, Ethan, and Natalie on the jury was quite bizarre to me.
It was. It was bizarre on the edge of extinction when it was people we didn't care about. And so, yeah, seeing Yul on a jury doesn't seem correct. Like there has to be a mistake. This can't be right. But I guess you could say that about all of them. Have any of them been on a jury before? Amber, maybe?
Yeah. Most of them are kind of just winners, and that's it. So
yeah, it's weird. They should be on the other side of the other bench.
So Ethan did miss the jury in All Stars. Is that correct? I don't remember.
Oh, yeah. No, he was pre-merge.
He was pre-merge. Okay. Right on. Yeah, and the challenge, Michelle, like, I thought she broke her legs.
Oh, that looked painful. Yeah,
like she fell from a long ways up.
Yeah, because I thought she was on the lowest one, but she was not. She just dropped from like halfway up the pole.
She didn't try to slide or anything. She just dropped.
Yeah,
and
she's had 2 ungraceful falls in a row, like 2 weeks in a row.
Yeah, and there was the part where Adam was up there and he was like, I'm scared.
Came off like a weenie tonight. I felt bad for him. Like the editors are doing him dirty.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I'm scared. Oh, let me help you, Michelle. Oh, whatever he was doing. It was funny. I'm glad he didn't get voted out, because I wouldn't want to get voted out in an episode that makes me look like such a dweeb.
Yeah, and when he was saying I'm scared, I was like, what is he scared of? I don't understand. What's scary? And then Michelle falls and almost breaks her legs, and I'm like, oh, that's why he's scared. He's scared of heights. I think
they were scared of also the pole was wet, because it was raining so much, so it makes falling even more likely.
Right, yeah, so it was like fear of falling from all the way up there, because when you're up there, you're probably up really high, and you're not thinking about sliding down, you're thinking about falling down.
Right.
And Michelle showed how bad that can be.
Yeah, she was the first one out, and
really surprised she wasn't injured by that.
Well, yeah, Jeff was like, geez, do you need medical?
Yeah.
I would have been like, hell yeah, come look at me.
Like,
I feel like I broke
ankles. Let's see here. I loved Jeremy's line. Whether it obviously was a misdirect for this episode at least, but it could pay off in the long run of the season. Just basically saying how he plays the game. He's like, I want to drive this thing, but I don't want anyone to know I'm driving. I mean, it's been said before, but it's worth repeating as a winning strategy.
Yeah, I remember that's when I got up to go to the bathroom, and I was like, yes, Jeremy. But then after the commercial break, he was kind of not doing a very good job of not letting people know what he was doing. At least maybe Sophie's just really good at seeing what's going on, but it was not unnoticed. But again, these are winners. These are not, freaking Kimmy Kappenberg, no disrespect, but they're going to be onto you.
Right. That's a really good point about how not only he was saying, I don't want people to see me driving. And so not only were people seeing him driving, which is not what he wanted, but also, you got to think about all the people who are driving from behind the scenes, kind of like Michelle in her season, but they might have a tougher time showing people at the end what they did. Granted, I feel like that's a bad example probably because Aubrey was probably driving more and Michelle didn't have to really explain what she did because they just gave it to her because she's nice. But there's probably a better example, but you know what I'm saying? Like some people have that problem where they drive the game from behind the scenes and then they don't get any credit for it. So that's another concern.
And that's why you have people like Denise being like, listen up, this is what I did.
Yeah.
You're all going to know it.
Now. So I don't have to tell you later.
Tell you now.
Yeah, very cool. Yeah. What'd you think of Yule on the jury?
It made me sad.
Yeah, you said that, didn't
you? Beautiful, but it makes me sad.
Yeah, you did say that. I talked about how I think Wendell kind of sucked in this tribal, like pretty bad.
Yeah, I'm always kind of waiting for like fireworks from people, and I didn't understand Tony's analogy either. Like I don't often understand what Tony says. I was trying to understand the current, the ocean metaphor, but I'm not sure that I got it. Did you get it?
No. I appreciate Tony. Like Tony realizes that even if you're not being addressed, sometimes you have to get your line in. You have to get your soundbite in there to make sure you're part of the season, not only from a TV perspective, but you need to be a part of the season in the eyes of the players as well, or they're going to be like, who the hell are you again? And it's weird that that's Tony, but yeah, that's where he runs that risk right now of no one being like, are you still here? Like that's how little people are thinking of him right now, which is crazy.
Right. I just think
he's going to have to do something.
It's just nice to see him again, like getting his teeth into a game. Like the second time he played, he didn't even get a chance.
They weren't going to let him. Yeah.
At the merge, not even being mentioned as a possibility. I mean, it's possible that people are looking at him as kind of a goon, but goons can win, man. So you better watch out for Tony.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, like from an edit perspective as well, I think he's being featured quite a bit, and he's been shown as having agency. The laying low strategy he's doing is being articulated, so I wouldn't rule him out. I think he's playing the game he needs to play. I just wonder at some point if he'll have to make a move to get that Tony reputation back, but he wants to. He just needs to make it at the right time, and I hope he gets that chance because that would be really fun to see. But
it'd be fun to watch.
Yeah. Did everyone get to talk?
Tony.
Everyone in the final tribal? Did everyone talk?
The final tribal?
Sorry.
Tribal council?
Tribal council. Sorry.
I didn't hear from Kim. Did Kim talk? Kim was pretty invisible tonight, and I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing.
No, I don't think Kim talked at all, but yeah, I agree. Not a bad thing.
Right. So I think she's okay. Michelle was pretty quiet considering her heavily featured last couple of weeks, but she kind of, other than her epic fall, was kind of in the background for this episode.
And I don't think Nick talked in Tribal either. For as much as he was talked about as being like the target, like he didn't talk.
Yeah, he was the one going into the scramble. It was Nick. And then suddenly it was like Adam and Wendell. Like Nick somehow became off the table. And I don't know if that was his doing or Sophie's doing, but he was not.
Wasn't part of the scramble, like one segment of it was talking about how they were annoyed with how Nick would just creep into every circle and every conversation.
And they show Nick just like swooping suddenly appear.
And then like a minute later they show Jeremy and Ben talking or something, and then Nick walks by. He's like, just going to get, what's up? Going to get water.
Yeah, that's what I mean. These are winners. Your tricks aren't going to all work on them. It's becoming apparent. Someone as good as Nick and someone as good as Jeremy, people are on to them, and it's very fun to watch.
Yeah, they're all on to each other. That's what's crazy about it, you know? So it's an open game. It's open season out there.
It's a bowl of spaghetti.
Yeah.
Just throw in some sauce. See what happens.
Yeah. I was a little worried about Adam, especially when he said, nobody wants to talk. Nobody wants to talk. I'm like, well, they don't want to talk to you.
Yeah, but he said that at tribal council, and I'm always dubious when they say stuff at tribal council because I know it's partly a performance. And so, I don't know. I'm sure part of him was very, concerned that he was being duped. But I think he also was playing up, though. I don't know. I hope it's not me. Crap, because
right. Yeah,
throw him off the scent.
That's actually a really good point. That's a good play to make in tribal council, is to say, nobody would talk to me today. And if that's your soundbite for tribal council and it doesn't end up being you, that's pretty sweet. People think no one's working with you.
Right.
That's a good play, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
I like Ethan's expression on. They often show him looking incredulous, like he can't follow what's going on. He's like, what?
I'm going to enjoy the jury. And since
not
they're
like
all
old man,
schoolers,
he's just like, what the? He's like a WTF kind of what?
I hope that they're since they're old schoolers, that they will keep their ridiculousness. Because remember the Edge of Extinction jury in season 38, how they were just so over the top in their reactions. Hopefully these, old school classy players can have good facial expressions, sure, but keep the goofing off to a minimum. Come on, let's have some decorum.
Yeah, keep the grabbing the person next to you and pulling them off the bench kind of thing. Yeah.
Stop it.
Leave that at home. Leave that in quarantine.
Yes.
I liked Adams. Loved this when he wrote down Wendell's name. And he said, it's either you or me tonight. I know this, but do you know? No, He did not. He did not. Adam knew he was the other name, but Wendell did not know that. That was freaking amazing. So for all of Adam's crappiness, that was a freaking amazing line. I loved that.
That was really good. Well, Adam is an emotional person, and I don't like that they use that as, they make fun of it seemingly sometimes. I don't know. It kind of bothers me. It's kind of not a good look.
It's a television show.
Yeah, I know. But just because he's a sensitive guy who's kind of really over the top with his emotions, or oh, look at this idiot. You know who deserves that edit? Ben. So give it to him and give a week off.
But Ben's the winner. They can't show him like that.
Oh, man, your mic was doing so good, and now it's just started doing it again. Now, I don't know why it bothers me that they give Adam this, goofball dweebo edit, because he's a very earnest person, and that's one of the things that works in his favor down the home stretch. But I don't know. It's I wish they'd ease up a little bit. Give him a break. Although next week they have another clip of him in the preview going or something. So I don't think they're going to give him a week off.
It's too bad my mic cut out when it did, because I was saying that they can't show Ben like that because he's the winner.
How dare you? How very dare you?
Yeah, I thought I really enjoyed the way they edited this episode. I love a good misdirect. I really wasn't quite sure where it was going. You actually kind of had your finger on the pulse of this thing. I wasn't really thinking Wendell. I thought they were really trying to tell us that Jeremy was driving and he was going to get his way and get Nick out of the game. But all of that was to show us that Queen Sophie is really the one driving, and
Yeah.
like I think her stock is like the most valuable to win at this point.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree. She still has an idol.
Power rankings top 3.
Mm-hmm. What? Like we're gonna do that, or
Yeah,
she's
you
in
just
the
give
top
it to
3?
me off the top of your head. Top 3 winners at winners power rankings.
Sophie. I mean, I want to say Kim because she's my MVP, but she's very invisible. But she's in a good spot. I don't know. Sophie, Kim, Michelle. I'm just gonna go all 3 ladies.
Yeah, I would go Sophie, Michelle, Jeremy.
Yeah,
Yep.
good picks. Good picks.
In that order. That's all I got. So your MVP for the episode?
Sophie. I mean, it's got to go to Sophie.
Yeah, there's some killer stuff from her in this one.
Yeah, she's continues to impress.
If I had to pick someone different, because I would probably go Sophie too. But if I had to pick someone different, I would probably say Jeremy, because Jeremy looked so good in this episode. Plus, he didn't end up voting, for Nick or somebody or for Adam. He did vote for Wendell at the end of the day. He tried to get his way.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh, I'm
There's
fairly
no confirmation
certain
of that, but it makes the most sense that it was Nick and Michelle and Wendell voting for Adam.
I think that's what happened. And after everything from last week, I'm really convinced that Wendell and Michelle were like a really tight pair. Even though they had their relationship issues, they were locked in. Michelle wouldn't vote for him.
Yeah, I think those relationship issues are probably hyped up.
They might have even been playing that strategically,
doing it themselves. Yeah. Part of me would almost want to pick Denise just for the flex of owning her move, but I'm gonna stick with Sophie.
Weird flex, but okay. Let's see. What else do we do next week? Who's going home?
Who's going home next week? I really don't know. It looks like Sarah and Adam get into it, and Sarah and Nick get into it. I don't know. Sarah has an advantage, not an idol. I'm gonna go with. Nick could be in trouble too. I don't know. I'm gonna go with Sarah.
Okay. I honestly don't think it's Adam. I think it's gonna be Denise. I'll go against my winner pick just because I think her big move, that's going to be her death sentence. But it was also badass and we'll never forget it. So worth it?
Not ever.
Worth $2 million? Maybe.
Like Malcolm in his second season had that hold up bro moment and Denise stomped on it. Denise's move trumps that one.
By a lot. Because they wasted theirs on Philip Shepard. It's like we took out the worst player in Survivor history.
That's true. Hey, she took out Sandra with 1 vote.
Took out the best player with 1 vote. Yeah, take that. Take that, 3 amigos.
Yeah, Reynold and Eddie. Who even are you?
Yeah. Okay. Any final thoughts on the episode?
It's just so great to have this season of Survivor airing right now. It really does help.
Yeah. I love this season. This is awesome. Really happy to be talking about it, and yeah, it's fun.
Yeah, it's a bummer that their finale is probably going to be messed up, but hey, it doesn't really matter in the end. It's the show that matters.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Well, thank you guys so much for listening. You can follow us on Twitter at TV is our real mom. Give us a thumbs up and a subscribe, and we'll see you guys next time. Bye.